Hello and welcome everybody to Entangled Frequencies, the channel all about music making and sound design. In this episode, I want to show you a synthesizer which is replacing my percussions a little. So my music is kind of abstract. I like to focus on synthesizers, and at several points I have a problem with integrating natural sounding sounds like bongos, congas, or anything you use for percussions. For percussive elements, and so I needed to design a synthesizer which is giving me the groove I need. So let's head over and just listen to the synth. I just start the bass and kick. And a possible lead synth, which in this case is rather in the background, but it could work as a lead synth as well. Yeah, you get an impression of the sound, and so yeah, let's just take a look. We have a sequence here, nothing fancy in there, and yeah, this is our instrument rack. I put everything in instrument rack to just have access to the knobs, which are my macros that I use for the automation later on. And within the rack we got the massive synthesizer. I will just swipe it in, and yeah, we got an equalizer after that, reducing the mid frequencies and cutting off the sub frequencies, because I want to have space for my kick and bass and everything what is handling the middle frequencies. The percussions are more important in the higher frequencies in this case, but do remember that they need their mid frequencies and part of their low frequencies to give the deepness of the percussions, or to provide a certain deepness. And yeah, after the equalizer I have a reverb. The reverb is the replica from Native Instruments in the first version. There's the second version out there. First version for me does its job pretty well. We mainly have a delay which plays a dotted 1/4 note, filling in our spaces a little more. And yeah, it applies a small little reverb as well. You can do that manually with the factory pack by getting the filter delay and the reverb here, twisting the knob a little, and then you should get an equal behavior. Let's just take a look how the sound sounds without the delay. So that's the dry signal. As you can see, we have a lot of more space here. The whole gaps are not really filled. So yeah, nothing fancy. And after that we have a compressor, side chain compression here, so that every time the kick hits we make room with our percussion elements for the kick to just have this bouncy feeling. And after that, a utility where we can adjust the overall gain at the end. Let's take a look into the synthesizer design. We have activated two oscillators. On the oscillator 1, the bender waveform comes in with the digital hybrid waveforms here. I put the wavetable position all the way to the right. If you select the bender, then you listen to the wavetable by twisting the knob and choose a position where you feel comfortable with. Different to the oscillator 2, because here we have the basic square and saw wave 1, and this knob all the way to the left will select us the square, and all the way to the up, this to the right will select us the saw wave. So the intensity will give us the brightness, so the volume more or less of the higher frequency. And yeah, according to the lower frequency, just the proportion. And yeah, we have the amplifiers here, or the volume set all the way to the up. But on oscillator 2, we have a selection of an envelope applied to the volume. The envelopes are located here, as you might know. The envelope 7 is the performer in this case. Every 1/4 bar, we will just hit the next step and follow the envelope. I applied this envelope of the performer here as well on the bandpass. So when the bandpass is going over to the higher frequencies, I want to have the saw wave a little louder, a bit more saturation and character. We got another envelope section here, or it's the step sequence section 8, and I just dragged that to the double notch filter, which is on the top here, the first filter, and the height of the pillars will determine the value of the cutoff here. 1/16 bars. It will just continue with one further step, so there will be quite the dynamics, and the reason for that is the double notch filter gives us some kind of mechanical sound, and the character can be shifted while twisting this knob. And yeah, the effect, which is the last procedure here within the synth, is a tube amplifier, which allows us to adjust the overall tone drive for our to adjust it to our mix. So if we want to have a more saturated sound, we can pull the drive up. We'll show it to you later. And yeah, the yellow circuits here that are macro mappings, you can find them here, the knobs here, and these knobs I mapped into Ableton, into my instrument rack, so that I have access to all the automation functions Ableton offers me. And yeah, so let's check how we can influence the character of the sound. Let's just start it. Play around a little. We got the bandpass cutoff, of course, going over to higher frequencies by pulling it up. Guess that might be useful for preparing to for a break or something. We got the bandwidth. So that makes the sound a little brighter. If we have a lot of stuff going on within our composition and our sound sounds too weak and too short, too pulse-like, we can just adjust the bandwidth. The bandpass resonance here will provide us a function to let the sound a little bit swing, to let it swing a little. As you can see, it will stride within the higher frequencies. Different to the notch filter resonance, that will give us a complete different character of the sound. some kind of pitch like dropping sound or dripping sound, rather said. As you can hear, the sound will crack a little. We have to check it to check if it's reasonable to manipulate that value later on in the composition. But I like to have it here just in case, making the sound a little different. Yeah, and the bottom two values here are as well important for the mix. It's controlling our tube amplifier, as I said. If we have a mix and we want to give the sound a little bit of a little more strength, then we can just adjust these two values here. As you can hear, the sound will raise in volume, so if you're pulling the drive up, you might adjust the volume here within the mixer section. Yeah, so that's the sound. That's the replacement of my percussions. I hoped you liked it. You learned something. If you have any comments, please let me know. And yeah, as always, groove on.